that conventions serve a really big purpose. One, it's an opportunity for dancers to take from a variety of different teachers that are not locally available to them on a week-to-week basis. Two, it helps them test. I find that it's one of the best places to pull out a new checklist of what they need to work on. Where are they struggling? You know, when kids take class from the same teachers over and over again, they themselves lose track about what really needs to be addressed. And so they kind of, keep themselves in a very comfortable space, mentally, emotionally, and physically. When they go to a convention, there's no more safety net. It just kind of it's pulled away. For one, because you are surrounded by so many other dancers, not just you, not just your friends, completely a whole different crew of people. And so you're already taken out of your comfort zone, which I think every child should always be taken out of their comfort zone when they can. Now, with that said, a couple more things. Another thing is being able to actually have competition or performance opportunities if that's available. A lot of conventions do offer that, and I think that's the other thing that makes it, very fun and very worthwhile, because as much training as any dancer gets, week after week, month after month, year after year, it will not matter how much training they have until they start stretching their legs out a little bit to see how they react to an audience. How well do they handle their own pressure? How much better do they connect to a fellow dancer, to their audience member? When you have all these opportunities wrapped into one space, a convention, it makes then the time worthwhile to go at the convention. But I also do believe that there is a much more, at times, needed space for concentrated intensive that focus solely on hardcore training. Again, taking your kid out of the comfort zone of their own studio, putting them in a different environment, but the training is like morning, noon, and night. And it's intense, and it's day in, day out. Day in, no school because it's summer. So there's a huge value to summer intensives that at any capacity can really help ante up a child's knowledge, physical strength, mental stamina that we don't necessarily get on the weekends. Weekends are great. Weekends are fun. I think it's a great boost. It's like taking a shot of B12. It just re-energizes you. And again, it gives you a nice space that in those 2-3 days, you have an opportunity to kind of check off like what you need to work on. Wow, my hip hop really needs a little bit more attention. Or I really noticed that picking up choreography was a bit of a struggle for me. Or wow, I realize I'm doing better in ballet, but I actually feel like I want to take a little more ballet. I know that's one of the odd ones, but sometimes it happens, parents. So there is a really fine line between how many conventions. I do believe that there's a point where too much is just too much. And as exciting as conventions are, and again, they're good for boosters. If you do them 3 times a year, maybe 4, I think those are great. I think especially if they happen every couple of months, I think it's great. But when you put a kid into an intensive for 2 weeks at in an environment, whatever it is, whether it's in the studio intensives or going out of town intensives, when you have that much focused time to work, not on choreography, but actual technique, it's amazing how quickly the body not just acclimates, but because it's so focused in every endeavor, it automatically improves. And so if you can, parents, because I actually had a dancer who told me that she goes to more than 20 conventions in a year. How that is possible, how any one person could even begin to afford that, that to me seems like such an, it's just overly done. It's obnoxious. It's just not necessary. And I think that there is this thing that because they go to so many conventions, they'll get a lot more networking opportunities. Yes, they will, absolutely. But we have to be careful that if we're networking, but we're not working on our training, then you're preparing for all these things to happen, but you have nothing to back it up with. And this is why training is always going to always outdo so many things, because the proof is in the pudding. That's all there is to it. You have to be able to show what you can achieve. You have to show what you can do. And that's where the hours, the weeks, the months, the years of training constantly are necessary. When you get past high school, training still has to exist. You have to know what's going on. It's like being a lawyer. You go through all those years of studying. You start to figure out what it is that you want to do. You go through the bar exam. You're hopefully, hoping that you get through it once. A lot of times you have to take the bar 2, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times, however long it takes for you to get past the bar. But then when you're in practice, when you're in that courtroom, right? You want to make sure that whichever lawyer you've hired, that they're up to speed, that they know what the new codes and the new laws and new regulations are, that they know what the new precedences are, so that they can actually represent you correctly. As a dancer, it's the same thing. You constantly have to keep knowing what's new, what's fresh, how to keep my body more engaged. Well, now that my body is 25 and it's no longer 15, how do I take care of it now that it's a little different than when I was 15? Clearly, on a variety of reasons. Well, so that the learning process never stops. It has to be present. And when you're talking about the vessel that is your body, you have to make sure that it's staying up to par. So, yeah, conventions, fantastic. I think they're great boosters. I think it's a great opportunity to see what else is out there to measure your quality of work, how you feel about yourself. Again, creating a checklist of what it is that you want to do, audition opportunities. I mean, conventions are they really are fantastic. It's just when people think that that's the way to train, and it's a whole different animal, and it's not where you train. Conventions are definitely not where you train. So hopefully that was very helpful. Miss Tia?